Hello everyone, this is Dinesh Tripathi. In this video, I will try to explain about a couple of open source projects. One is Kubeapps, another is Octant, and third one is Tanzu Community Edition. Now, with the help of Kubeapps, how you can deploy software packages on the Tanzu Community Edition created standalone cluster, and how you can visualize all that using Octant. So let's get started. I do have my TCE cluster setup, so I can show you here. Now, this is my TCE cluster, one master node, one worker node. I do have Octant already in place, that's up and running. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow one of the very good developer post here from Tanzu developer community, and I'm going to deploy the Kubeapps on the TCE cluster. So let's just follow that. I'll post this link as well if you want. Now, another thing that I want to do is I want to also show you how this all will look like in Octant. But let's get started first. So I'm going to add a repo. This repo is already added. I'm going to create a namespace. So let's see the namespace here. We have, let me just, okay, so Kubeapps is here. Right now, you do not see any application here. It's all blank because we do not have any application deployed in that namespace. Now let us run this command and deploy the application. Now let's watch this workload screen now. And as soon as Helm charts create the deployment will start creating the replica set and the pods. Then you are going to see here that what are different workloads getting deployed. So this orange means that the image is being pulled and it's trying to get up and running. You can see here some of those details as well, what it is trying to do. And it will take some time to basically get all of these pods up and running, because it is going to pull the image from internet and make the pod up and running. Now, while this is trying to get up, let us see what is going on here. So okay, so here we have Kubeapps, and you can see that all these pods, so some of these are running, which you are seeing here green as well. Some of them are running, some of them are in the container creating state, and you can keep watching them. It may take few minutes to get all up and running. And Octant is actually a very good tool, open source tool that you can look at. You can go ahead and look at the different view. So in namespace overview, if I go, and if this is selected, you will see other objects as well. So just taking some time to load, but it will take maybe a few minutes. So maybe I can just come back once the pods are running. So while some of them are still coming up, I just wanted to show you the view here. So you can see that most of them are now in running state. There are few which are still being created. And let us just try to describe one of the pod that is in the creating state and see what is going on. So you can see that it's pulling the image, and some of these images are big in size. This may impact also due to our network connection. So this may take some time and you just need to wait for it. While others are running, let us just try to see how they look like in the Octant. So as you can see, this is the Kubeapps pod. And this basically got different objects: secret, a config map, replica set, service account, service, all of those are associated. And it is also telling that this particular replica set or this particular pod is associated with this deployment. So that is one view that you can see. Now let's see if all of them are running. So let's just go here. There are still few, they are coming up. So let's wait and I'll be back once all of them are running. So now you can see that all of these pods are running. For me, it took around 7 to 8 minutes to get all of them up and running. It really depends on several factors. So it may not take this much time or it may take more time at your side. So now let's go back to the documentation. So let's go ahead and create the Kubernetes API token. This API token is needed to log into the Kubeapps UI. So creating a service account and then mapping that to the cluster admin role and then getting the token. So this is the token. Now let's go ahead and get the URL to log into the Kubeapps. So I'm doing the port forward because it's running on the local system. So I'll go ahead and do the port forward here on the different tab. And there is a port forwarding done. So I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and log in here, right? So this is the Kubeapps UI. I'm going to apply this token. And you can see here that now I'm logged in to the Kubeapps. This Kubeapps is running on my TCE Standalone cluster on my laptop, and we have been visualizing those objects through Octant. If I go to the catalog, this is what I was talking about. So this catalog actually shows you the different software, the different application that is listed here. And when you try deploying this, basically we are deploying via Helm chart. We can have our own Helm chart repository that we can add here and see the catalog items for those Helm charts, which maybe the developers or somebody else trying to deploy that on a Kubernetes cluster, this can be done. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically deploy this one of the package on the default namespace in my TCE cluster. So let's go and do this. Let's just select the cert manager. Cert manager is also a part of Tanzu package, which you may have deployed via Tanzu CLI. In this case, I'll be deploying that via Kubeapps. So when I clicked on the cert manager, it's giving a very nice information. It's telling that what all it is going to deploy, what are the objects will be created, what are the parameters, all that you are seeing here, right? We can also change where we are going to deploy. So I'm going to deploy in the default cluster, default meaning that is the one. If you have more than one cluster, you can select the cluster. And also the namespace. So namespace of this default cluster, I will be using the default namespace. Now I'll go ahead and click on the deploy. Once I click on the deploy, it's also presenting the YAML file. If we want to change the parameter, we can change the parameter and those changes will be shown here. But in this case, I'm just going to deploy it without making any change. So it's saying fill out the name. I will say cert manager and click on deploy. So once I say deploy, let us go ahead and visualize that in the Octant UI. So in a few seconds, we will see that it's basically trying to deploy. So if I go ahead and try to show you what is getting deployed. So right now, nothing is found. If I say, okay, so nothing is deployed yet. It may take a few seconds to trigger that process, and let's just give it a few more seconds and then look at the Octant UI as well as the CLI and monitor the installation of Cert Manager package. So for me, it took a couple of minutes before I can see this page, but the deployment was happening through Helm chart. And now you can see here 12 seconds ago, some of these objects are getting created. Let us try to monitor all that through the Octant UI as well. And like previous time, you can just see that these are still showing in the orange color, which means the image is still being pulled, and they will come up in few seconds. So we'll give them few minutes, but I think what is important to understand is in the Kubeapps UI. So once they are deployed on the Kubeapps, basically we can see them on the application section. So right now, one you are seeing is the Cert Manager that is showing deployed. If I click on this button, so apps in all the namespace, you will see other namespace, other application available on different namespace too. So Kubeapps is one of them that we have deployed a few minutes back. That is also showing here. Cert Manager is one of them. Now, if I click on that, you will see the detail of the particular application that we have deployed, and still the pod is not running. Still it is trying to get the things ready. So it may take few seconds, as I said, because it is trying to pull the package and it is taking some time. So let us wait for a few seconds and come back once they are in the green state. So it took around, I think, 7 to 8 minutes in my setup to get the Cert Manager up and running. And now you can see the pods here as well. It's all running fine. Now let's move back to the Kubeapps UI and let us look at, okay, I think this is closed. Okay. All right, so this should work now again. All right, so Cert Manager is deployed. You can see here all good. There are a couple of actions that you can take. One is upgrade, another is rollback, and third is delete. So upgrade, when we have new version available, then we can do. Right now, it's going to try out and see if we have the new version. It's the current version 161, that is the latest. So there is no point updating that. There is another action for rollback. So rollback, when you have done the upgrade, then only you can do the rollback. Since we have not done any upgrade, so there is no previous version to roll back. And third one is delete. So we can simply try deleting. We don't have to do any cleanup from kubectl command. We can just delete from here and click on delete. You will notice that in few seconds, all these pods are gone. And the cleanup will happen here. If we see, there is no pod, and the Kubeapps UI will show that, okay, there is nothing running. So now we just have the Kubeapps running. So in this demo, I just tried to show you how easy it is to deploy these packages through Kubeapps UI. You can bring your own package by developing Helm chart, adding the Helm chart repository here. And the next one is how easy it's to basically go ahead, look at the Octant UI, navigate everything, understand how things are working, where is the problem. It becomes really very, very easy through the Octant UI. So we tried to cover this in this demo. So that's all for this demo, and we'll see you in the next